blue is a versatile color that we can use to create both a peaceful and energetic look to a home. Hi everyone, it's Carol from Discover Interior Design, and I'm so glad you're here. In this video, we're going to be talking about the color blue. So we're going to be talking about color theory and attributes of the color blue, and then also how we can use that in our home. So let's just think about the color blue in color theory terms first, and let's take a look at a color wheel. And the color blue is a primary color. So just like yellow and red, the color blue is a color that we don't use other colors to make it. So we use blue and the other primary colors to create all the other colors. So depending on what kind of blue we start with, we'll have a range of different colors. We could start with a very cool blue or a very warmer blue, and depending on what we start with, that's what we can use to create all of the other colors. So for instance, blue is used to create the color green because the color green has blue and yellow in it. Also, blue is used to create the color purple. Same thing, the color purple has blue, but then it also has red in it. And when we're thinking about the color blue, we consider blue to be a cool color, meaning that it has more of a cooler look and feel to it. And colors that have the color blue, including blue, will create a cooler look and feel in general. But of course, there's always, these variations with all of our colors. The opposite of a cool color is a warm color. So the color yellow is a warm color. And anything that has yellow in it, including yellow itself, will create more of a warmer look and feel. And we can also take a deeper look at, warm and cool colors. Cool colors are what we consider receding colors, meaning that we may notice them later than we would notice a color that is an advancing color, which means a color that we notice right away. So in general, warmer colors are the colors that we notice right away, and the cooler colors are colors that we'll notice after that. So it's just kind of how we perceive color. And, blue in general is one of those colors that we like to use if we want to create kind of a calming effect. It reminds us of nature, of the sky, or of water. So it's a nice color to use when we do want to create kind of a calming and peaceful effect. But with any color, there's all these different variations. And so that really comes into play in how we use blue and, and what type of blue that we use. So when we're talking about variation in color, one thing we can talk about is the saturation or intensity of a color. So when we are thinking of a very saturated or intense looking color, what we're really looking at is a color that has a lot of color in it, which is just meaning that there's a lot of blue in that blue, compared to a color that could be a little less saturated with the color blue in it. So that means that there's less color of the blue in that color, but also it could mean that it's kind of grayed out or kind of neutralized a little bit. And, in general, a more saturated color is much more vibrant and brilliant and energetic, whereas a color that is more grayed out, a little more neutralized, less saturated, less intense, is more calming and kind of more peaceful. And then the other thing that we can talk about is the value of color. When we're referring to, the lightness and darkness of a color. In blue, we can think of a lot of different types of light colored blues. And, when a color is almost like a pastel color, or it's just a softer version, it's not super dark, usually that gives us a look and feel that's calming and peaceful, compared to a color that's much darker and very deep. We can think of kind of like a black blue. That gives us a very different look. It's much more eye-grabbing. It grabs our attention because something that's dark has a lot of visual weight, where it, creates a lot of attention to itself. And so when we look at a very dark blue and very dark and deep dark blue, that grabs our attention and creates a lot of visual weight and gives us a different look than, a very light pastel-y blue. And then the other variation that we can think about, and this is with any color, is that yes, blue is considered a cool color, but the cool thing is that we can make, a blue color warmer. So for instance, when we add a little bit of yellow to blue, we create aqua or even teal. And when we add maybe even a little bit of red to blue, it creates more maybe like a periwinkle blue. So there's all these different variations of blue, and depending on what blue we start with and what we add to it, we can, change out that blue. And then one thing that's kind of cool to think of when we're talking about blue and, all colors is, kind of finding out where do these colors originate from. When we're working with blue, it depends on, what the blue is. And of course, any other colors that are added to that blue. To create navy blue, for instance, navy blue derives from indigo. And indigo is from the indigo plant, from the leaves of the indigo plant that create this kind of really kind of warmish blue color. And then navy blue has some black in it. So it's kind of this a little bit deeper, darker blue. So, just thinking about where color comes from is very interesting, and it kind of adds to our knowledge about color theory and, how we use colors in our home. So what are some color schemes, some color combinations, other colors that we can bring into our home when we're working with blue? Well, one direction to go is to use an analogous color scheme. And all that means is that using a color that's related to blue. And that means that color is also next to blue on the color wheel. So that means, green. As I mentioned before, green has blue and yellow in it. Or purple, because purple has blue and red in it. And, if we look at the color wheel, we can see both of those colors are on either side of blue. So automatically, you can bring in another color, but it also creates, a cohesive look when you use a related color. And, what I would recommend doing is making sure to bring in variety. When you are using another color, bringing in another color, making sure that that color is maybe a little lighter or a little darker or a little more saturated or less saturated, just because we want to make sure that there's variety and that everything doesn't just look all the same. And another direction to go is almost in a way of an accent color, and to look at a color that's kind of totally opposite blue. And if we go to a color wheel, which is our tool to kind of look at different color combinations and to see where all the colors are, we can look to the opposite color of blue, and that's orange. And so, bringing in a complementary color, it creates kind of an accent color and kind of creates some neat variety in a room. So what are some things we can keep in mind when we're working with the color blue in our home? Well, one thing to think of is, what is the look and feel that you're going for? Do you want to have a room that looks and feels calm and peaceful? Well, you may want to choose a blue, whether it's a warmer blue like aqua or teal, or even a blue like periwinkle. using a version of those colors that's a little bit softer, maybe it's a little bit lighter, and possibly even a little bit of a more grayed out look to it. But if you want something that has more visual weight, that is a little bit stronger or even vibrant, you may want to look for a blue that has more blue in it, that's a little bit more saturated, that has a more intensity to it, and possibly a color of blue that is darker. So just kind of keep those things in mind. You know, that blue is really versatile, and I think you can always use blue for a variety of different looks and feels. And so it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. And in your busy day, take a look at your home. In one of your rooms, do you use blue in there to, decorate your home? And how are you using it? And what is it that you love about blue, and what types of blues do you like? And I'd love to hear your design ideas and your design suggestions in the comments. And I want to thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.